Okay, we're at the very end of Daf Pei Daled on the Daled. It's a new mimer that begins, B'yei Mashmin Atzeres Tiel Lechem. The Alter Rebbe quotes Onkelos, who just translates this as Kinishin Tehil Lechem. Kinishin means that there should be an ingathering, everybody to come to one place, that all the Jewish people should come and congregate in one area that is back to their origin and their source. The point being that on Rosh Hashanah we say, Zeh Yom Tchilas Masechas, Yikarli Yom Rishon. Remember the beginning explanation, that the process of Ashtalshalis, level after level, from the highest of levels, requires an enormous amount of very intense stages of tzimtzum, which cannot be fathomed or counted, because you're coming from Ein Sof, which is, as its name suggests, has no boundary, and Olamais cannot exist from Ein Sof. So in order for there to be a process, or there to be the product of there being defined creations, there has to be an abundance of very intense processes of Ashtalshalis that create a bridge that is also essentially infinite. What are these bridges? They're like the lower level of Gan Eden, which is a bridge between the spiritual worlds and this physical world. Like it says in the Zayar, that everything that exists above is the process that results in what exists below, because it is all subsumed within this higher and lower dynamic. There is also this process called Noah Dinor, which is the purification through which even the most righteous have to endure in order to detach themselves from the gashmias of this physical world, that it's necessary that they completely abandon that gashmias so that they have no recollection of it. It does not interfere with their capacity to appreciate the spiritual experience, such as their distracted thoughts during the davening that confuse a person in their davening. So too, from the lower level of Gan Eden to the higher level of Gan Eden, a person also has to forget about the Gan Eden Natachning, that relative to the Gan Eden Elyon, it's also considered to be materialistic. So too, every level after level, onward and onward, like we say, it's all uplifted up forever. Sela, that is, it's uninterrupted. Like it is with Shemitah and Yovel, it goes on and on every time a level ascending after another level, which requires a detachment from the lower level, which is considered materialistic relative to the higher level of spirituality. Now, we say Tchilas Masecha, that is the lower level of Gan Eden, which is the beginning of what ultimately results, and we're now on Daf Pei Hey, the world of Asiya. And we mention it because it is the ultimate purpose of creation. This is why we were created. God placed us in the garden to work it and to guard it. That's where we will have the perfection, the totality of activity. In order that in the times of, as it will be in the times of Mashiach, which is not the way as it is in Gashmis now. Now, in order for there to be the Tchilas Masecha, through remembering Zikaron Yom Rishon, that is, we have to recall the very origin of where it all began before Hishtalshalis, because the end and the beginning are intertwined. Because that which causes this whole process of Hishtalshalis is prompted by Hashem's passion and desire to create a Dira B'Tachtonim specifically, or space. But we also know that this descent down into this physical world is for a greater ascent. Now, this requires understanding. This is a pretty intense, a very intense descent, that a neshama comes from the totally spiritual world down to this physical world. Even to Gan Eden Natachton, it would have to separate itself, to detach itself through the Noah Dinor, and certainly from Gan Eden Natachton to Gan Eden Elyon. And therefore, the subsequent ascent of the neshama that has to endure such a descent must be unfathomable. To make it worthwhile for such an intense descent. And what does a person do to merit such a great ascent? That is, justifies this great descent. So this is based on what it says, I am Hashem, that is my name, Ani Havaya Hushmi. Because the name Havaya suggests that he is the creator, the constant sustainer of all stages of awareness, through Tzimtzum and Espashtus and Amshacha. But this is still only, quote, his name, like a sun ray, regarding which it says in the Gemara that the tzaddikim will sit and benefit from ziv hashchina, only from the ziv. That is, since they are actually having benefit, it's something that's actually perceptible, that they can grasp even with their intellect. This level of godliness can only be a ziv, it only be a mild insight into the infinity of Hashem. That's what they're able to comprehend, whereas Baruch itself can't be comprehended, because that is innately Kodesh. But Hashem is the source of all life and the source of all Tainugim. And there's total bittul. and a bittul of understanding, bittul of the neshamas, and the unification in the source of it, which is Hashem Himself, which is beyond their capacity to understand. Like the pasuk says, as Tesanik al Hashem, the emphasis being higher than even the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, like the Zohar says, higher than even Yud Kei Vav Kei, where there's only a tiny ray. Now, the revelation of this, that we should merit such a level of this level of bittul, is through the Gili Or Ein Sof in this physical world. This level of bittul hasaga that is revealed exclusively through the process of tshuva by the stirring of the heart from the depth of the person and from the deep within his heart, regarding which it says it is preferable one moment of tshuva and maisim tovim. This doesn't mean just literal abandonment of sin, because why would that be one moment? But tshuva and maisim tovim means that in order for our maisim to be tovim, for them to radiate godliness, there first has to be tshuva. There has to be a return back to the origin and the source, to which we can be connected to Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu Mamash, because tshuva predated creation. Olam is from Shem Havaya. That is, again, only an insight. But tshuva is even higher than that. It is total surrender and total submission within the infinity of Hashem. Like the pasuk says, Mili b'shamayim, who do I have in the heavens? V'imcha lechafatzti ba'aretz, and what do I have in the earth that I would want? That Hashem doesn't want only what can be grasped by our intellect according to our capacity. That would still be considered almanas l'kabel pras. Now, the literal meaning there is to serve Hashem with the intent of reward, but the word pras also could mean a divider, something that separates the person out, and is considered distinct from the very essence of it. But rather, tzur levavi. What is tzur? That is a form of separation, mechitza, and a iron curtain that separates between the light and the revelation of this ziv, where there is not a revelation of something that can be grasped, but it's a total bittul, a total subsumption within Hashem, regarding which it says that He chases away the darkness. Darkness and light are the same. Ruchnius and Gashmis are identical. Big and small are all the same. And the portion of Hashem is for the world. This is the Or Ein Sof itself, the source and makor of this, because Shem Hashem is source and is considered like only, quote, Elokim, relative to Atzmis or Mahus. And the general idea of the Jewish people, they should be zoichet to this level of Tshuva and Yom Kippur, that then we say, Ne'ilah Havayhu Elikim, because it is Lifnei Hashem, in a more profound level, even than one captured by Havaya, Tatara, we have been purified, higher than even the level of Havaya, that is more personal. And through this, we merit as Tesanik al Hashem. Now, in the power of tshuva is drawn down specifically on Shmini Atzeres that will result in Simchas Torah. The point being, Torah is basically two Torahs. There's the Torah Shebechsav and the Torah Shebal Peh. Shema b'ni Musar Avicha, that's Torah Shebechsav, the transmission of the father. Bal Titosh Torah Simecha, the Torah of the mother is Torah Shebal Peh. Now, Torah Shebechsav is compared to the father, which is just like the father relates to the son. That even though the brain of the son is drawn from the brain of the father, nevertheless, the ikar development of the child is through the gestation within the mother and from nourishing from the mother's milk. And the great raising of the child, which includes a unification with the mother mamash. And the father is just the source that gets it going. But the father's guidance is from a distance. So too, Torah Shebechsav is the source of all the halachas of Torah Shebal Peh. Nevertheless, the whole ikar of halacha that is explained thoroughly in Torah Shebal Peh, specifically. And that's where you have all of the expansion of Torah, which in Torah Shebechsav, you just have it in the slight allusion, one letter here, a word there. And from that, we develop a whole masechta of Torah Shebal Peh, just like the mother develops the entire child from the very initial contribution of the father. All of the details in Torah Shebal Peh are comparable to the gestation within the mother. That's why Torah Shebal Peh is called the mother, because it includes and develops all of the details. And all of them are nourished by their closeness with it, which is not the case in Torah Shebechsav, which is the father level that draws down from a distance. It's alluded to, it's hinted at, because that's the level of Chachma. Raisa comes from Chachma, like Kohelet says, I have spoken Chachma, B'hirach many. Wisdom is distant, like the father's got that distant influence on the child that radiates from a distance, which is not the case with Torah Shebal Peh, which is the level of Bina, Rechevas Hanar. It's breadth and depth and expansion. What is this in Avodas Hashem? That just like there are two levels in Torah, so too in Avodah. One is bina, which comes from the heart. That is, to be passionate and enthusiastic in the heart through the expansion of understanding and the contemplation of the name of Hashem, tzimtzum, hispashtes, hamshach, and how Hashem is meshubach before Adei Shmei HaGadol. All of the praises we give that result in Ein Habanim Smecha. That is, that the mother who gives birth to children, this is love and fear. That's the product of the mother. Those are the children of the intellect. And the simcha is when it is expanded upon, that it should be with simcha and tuv. Now, this expansion of the heart through davening that expands our intellect and expands the way we are able to grasp it is subsumed and unified mamash in this awareness, that it grasps it within his heart to produce Abba and Yirah. But the level of Chachma is the Kayach Ma, the willingness to be amazed. This idea of Benachnu Ma, that is total bittul, regarding which it says that Chachma comes from Ayin, from the level of bittul, from the level of the revelation of Orein Seif Mamash that no thought can grasp, because it is not understandable. This is completely detached and separated. This is the source of life and the source of the kind of pleasure or alignment. And therefore, to this we desire and we long to completely surrender ourselves. Now, through Tshuva and Yom Kippur, which is the level of reaching even higher than, or more personal level of Havaya, we elevate and we connect the neshama to the source and to its origin, and it becomes unified in the one who provides this, in the level that is described as Ibor, like a fetus within the mother, that it eats from what the mother eats and is nourished by the mother. Similarly, there is this power to draw down the level of Chachma, this level of Ayin, of Bittul, to be revealed, the level of Ani, which is the level of the Father that radiates in a close way, in a manner that is as evident as the mother is nurturing. And this is what the pasuk means when it says Aniya Yoludaticha, not Holadaticha, that is, that it should be revealed Ani from the level of Ayin, this level of the mother that gives birth, not the level of the father who is the source of birth, but rather that the birth should be revealed on the seventh day of Pesach, regarding which on Pesach it says Atzeres, this concluding day, LaHashem Elekecha, that's for God, from above to below, the splitting of the sea that occurred on the seventh day, which is a total miracle from above, as we'll explain later. Ashmini Atzeres, it says Atzeres Tia Lachem, that is Memata Lamaila, because Atzeres means to gather it all, that is, to be gathered and held tightly to, at this level of Ibor, like the fetus that's developed within the mother and eats from what the mother eats. Not only that, but even what the father eats, that it should also be drawn down, this level of ayin, to be absorbed within the Jewish people, to have this intense level of closeness with Hashem. And this is what we celebrate at Simchas Torah, that is to be mesameach with the Torah by unifying the two levels of Torah Shabbasav and Torah Shabbal Peh through the revelation of ayin, like it says, Ani Torascha Sheshasti. That is, this is the product of what has come from it, that he makes the Torah his joy, like it says, it will be for him, for his enthusiasm and joy. And this is through the revelation of Ani from Ayin. That is, we draw down the Orein Seif Baruch, that it should become Chachma, that Torah is dispatched from the level of Chachma. This is what it means when it says, Hashem Haisa Zois, Zois being the feminine word for this. From God was this the feminine. That from this level of Avai, which is the level of Chachma, like it says, Avai founded in Chachma, which is the level of Av, it becomes Zois, the feminine, the level of the feminine quality, the mother who gives birth, because Neflesi Hiveinu, it is in fact fantastic. It's a Pella. It's a level of Ayin that becomes evident to us. We can even see it. That is, it becomes a revelation of the Ani from the Ayin. And therefore, this level of Chachma becomes the level of aim that radiates within the person as if it's close. Unlike the father who's ordinarily distant, now he becomes close. And this is what the pasuk means regarding loss and love, like a man that his mother has comforted him, so shall I comfort him. That in this time, it's the mother who is joyous, where in the future time, it will be Anoichi. So we could explain that what does it mean like his mother comforts him? That's Torah Shabbal Peh, where we can understand it. Whereas Torah Shabbat, it's only alluded to. That the entire Pnimus HaTorah is not understood at all. But La'asad Lavai, I will comfort him. That'll be a revelation of Pnimus HaTorah. And this is what we explained regarding Kriyas Yamsuf in the Dibur Maskal of Kriyas Yamsuf, that this is a revelation of the level of Eden that's higher than even the river. And the Alter Rebbe mentions other Maimarim and source material for cross-reference. He also mentions another description when Moshe says that he is kaved peh, heavy mouth, that this is relevant to Torah, to Baal Peh, Torah Shabal Peh. Or kaved lashon is the Torah Shebechsav. He also says that he is of heavy tongue, because this level of anachnu mav, total bittul, atzmis of chachmilah, that Abishta says that I will be with you, that through the revelation of Anochi, who is Anochi, Hashem in its very essence, through this, it will manifest that even the level of Chachma that is ordinarily unapproachable, that Moshe was essentially saying that he's Chachma and therefore he can't relate to Parai, will be expressed to Parai. Look also in what it says in Parshas Ve'era. The Alter Rebbe again brings other source material to further explain this point. Now, how can we make this a little bit more understandable? The level of Chachma that radiates within us, because Chachma is that which is beyond understanding. It's called the Seichel that is hidden from all thought. And this that is drawn down through comprehension is only a slight insight, like that flash of thought that comes into the person. But the very essence of it is not comprehended. Similarly, we understand in the parallel, the level of Chachma and Bina Vatzilas, that comes to the level of Chachma that is beyond anything that we can grasp. As is explained, that in one moment a person can sit and he can explain what takes 80 years and never be interrupted. How could a person understand 80 years of wisdom in one moment? But the idea is that he understands it like he sees it clearly. I mean, instead of my explaining it to you, I show it to you, boom, you understand it. But it's there at the level of Yitzira, like we know. Nevertheless, regarding this, we also understand it's the level of Chachma. The Alter Rebbe explains some other or cites other Maimarim where this can be further analyzed. Similarly, we find in the idea of Kriyas Yamsuf, which is a revelation of Atzilus into Bria, like it's explained that Atzilus is the level of Chachma, and Bria is the level of Bina. So Kriyas Yamsuf is that the Yama Chachma should radiate in a manner that is apprehensible to us. It's comprehensible to us through Bina. And in order for there should be this revelation, there has to be a Pella, the level of Ayin, that which the Zohar describes, that it's like the level of Atik, the level of Ani Hayom Laticha. Now, regarding this, it says regarding the power of Tshuva and Yom Kippur, Lefnei Hashem Tataru. This is the idea of Zayayim Asa Hashem, that Hayom is Tshuva, like it says that Mashiach told Rabbi Shua ben Levi when he asked him, "A Masai Ka'asimar," and he said Hayom today. And then he explained that's Hayom if you will listen to my voice. What is the Hayom? That is Yom Rishon, the Rishon that is before Ishtalshalis. Like it says, the Yom Harishon is the gematria of Keser, which is called Hayom with this brightness, clarity. This level of tshuva, which predated the world, is a level of Hayom. This is Asa Havaya. Because it is said, Kol Asher Chafetz Hashem, Asa, all that God desires, he does. That Asa, and he draws down this level of Havaya in the Ishtalshalis from Kol Asher Chafetz. That is through this idea of Zehayim. That is the Yom Rishon that's prior to Ishtalshalis, which is the Indian of Tshuva, because it wedges the end in the beginning. That in this Olam Hagashmi, it radiates this Orin Soif that is higher than Ishtalshalis. And there can be Tshuva to transform his heart from one extreme to another, like Rabbi Lezman Dordoi, who acquired all of Olam Haba even after a terrible life in just one moment, which is not the case in Olam Haba, where already the person has been situated, and the tzaddik has his own place, but he's sort of stagnant. And this is what it means. That is today, in this time where we have ani, that we turn from ayin, it's neflos hibeinu. That's zehayoim, which is what causes us havai, and therefore there is celebration nagil v'nismacha.